Most people in zombie movies don't die because the zombies are smarter than them. They die because they panic, ignore obvious warning signs, trust the wrong people, or make a decision so unbelievably stupid that you can practically see the death scene coming. World War Z. In World War Z, Jerry Lane spends most of the movie chasing one question. What are the zombies doing that humans haven't figured out yet? Cities are collapsing in minutes. Military defenses aren't stopping them. Walls aren't stopping them. Fighting harder clearly isn't the answer. So Jerry does something much smarter. He watches. Eventually, he notices something strange. The infected are attacking healthy people almost instantly, but certain sick individuals are being completely ignored. That observation changes everything. Jerry realizes the zombies may be looking for healthy hosts, which means the best camouflage isn't hiding your face, changing your smell, or covering yourself in zombie guts. It's making yourself look medically worthless. So Jerry deliberately infects himself with a serious but treatable pathogen and then walks directly into a corridor filled with zombies. And they move around him. That is one of the smartest decisions in any zombie movie because Jerry doesn't defeat the enemy. He understands the enemy well enough that he no longer has to fight it. Train to Busan. Train to Busan gives its survivors an even nastier problem. They're trapped on a moving train with fast infected occupying the cars between them and the people they're trying to reach. There's nowhere to run except straight through the zombies. But instead of repeatedly charging them, the survivors start studying their behavior. They realize the infected rely heavily on sight and become disoriented when the train enters dark tunnels. Suddenly, the tunnels aren't just part of the environment, they're a weapon. The group times its movement from car to car with periods of darkness, uses sound to pull zombies away from their path, and even wraps magazines around their arms as improvised protection against bites. None of this requires futuristic technology. They simply observe, adapt, and turn the zombies' limitations against them. That's what makes the decisions so effective. Every new piece of information immediately becomes part of the survival plan. Then there's #Alive, where Kim Yoo-bin makes one of the smallest decisions on this list and possibly one of the most realistic. Oh Jun-woo is trapped alone inside his apartment while the city collapses outside. Food disappears, water disappears, communication with his family disappears. Eventually, after hearing what happened to them, he decides he has nothing left to live for. Yoo-bin sees him from the apartment building across the street. She needs to stop him, but yelling would attract the infected below. So she uses a laser pointer instead. That tiny decision saves his life without exposing either of them. From there, the two develop an entire survival system based around the same principle. Communicate without unnecessarily revealing your position. They use signs, devices, binoculars, and eventually a makeshift zip line between the buildings. In a genre where characters constantly scream each other's names while zombies are standing 30 feet away, Yoo-bin understands something immediately. Silence is survival. The girl with all the gifts. But sometimes the smartest decision isn't about preserving the world. It's recognizing that the world you're trying to preserve is already gone. In The Girl with All the Gifts, Melanie is part of a second generation of infected children. She carries the fungus, but unlike the mindless hungries roaming outside, she can think, learn, communicate, and feel. Dr. Caldwell sees Melanie as humanity's chance at developing a cure and wants her sacrificed to save what remains of the old human civilization. Melanie eventually reaches a completely different conclusion. Instead of sacrificing herself, she ignites the infected seed pods, releasing the spores and ensuring that her generation becomes the future. But before doing it, she protects Miss Justineau inside the mobile laboratory, preserving the one person capable of teaching these children. It's morally complicated, but strategically, Melanie sees what Caldwell refuses to accept. You can't rebuild the future if your entire plan depends on resurrecting a past that has already disappeared. Army of the Dead. In Army of the Dead, Scott Ward is preparing to enter quarantined Las Vegas and steal $200 million before the government destroys the city. He has combat experience, a capable team, and plenty of reasons to believe he knows what he's doing. But his smartest decision is admitting that he doesn't. Scott listens to Lily, who has actually operated inside the quarantine zone. She explains that these infected aren't simply wandering corpses. They have territory, hierarchy, and an alpha leader named Zeus. That means charging into Vegas like it's a normal combat operation could get everyone killed. Scott adjusts the mission around her intelligence. And that matters because one of the most dangerous things you can have during an apocalypse is confidence based on outdated information. Scott's advantage isn't knowing everything. It's recognizing who knows more than he does. Zombieland. Columbus from Zombieland takes that same idea and turns it into an entire lifestyle. He isn't the strongest survivor. He isn't particularly intimidating. What he has is a system. Every mistake he sees becomes another rule. Check your surroundings. Don't assume a zombie is dead. Avoid unnecessary risks. Stay prepared to escape. His famous rules work because they remove emotion from decisions that people usually make under pressure. The real brilliance is consistency. Columbus doesn't wait until something goes wrong to start thinking. He has already decided how he'll respond before the emergency happens. In a world built around chaos, his greatest weapon is predictability. Sergeant Doyle faces a completely different problem in 28 weeks later. The supposedly secure London safe zone collapses after the rage virus returns, and soldiers eventually receive an order to shoot anything that moves, infected or not. Doyle realizes the system designed to protect civilians has become another threat to them. So he stops blindly following orders, abandons his sniper position, and helps survivors escape. It's dangerous, but his decision recognizes something important. A protocol is only useful while the assumptions behind it remain true. Once those assumptions collapse, continuing to follow the protocol can become more dangerous than breaking it. Dawn of the Dead. The survivors in Dawn of the Dead make another fundamentally smart choice. Before treating the shopping mall like a home, they treat it like a structure that needs to be secured. They block entrances, reinforce access points, eliminate immediate threats, organize responsibilities, and monitor what's happening outside. The mall gives them supplies, visibility, and controlled entry points, but the building itself isn't what keeps them alive. Organization does. Their mistake comes later, when safety turns into comfort, and comfort makes it harder to recognize that the sanctuary is becoming a trap. It's a good reminder that even the smartest survival decision eventually expires. Resident Evil. The Hive in Resident Evil punishes reckless movement. Locked corridors, infected personnel, and automated defenses mean the survivors can't simply overpower everything in front of them. Their smartest adjustment is realizing that the facility itself has rules. The Red Queen locked down the Hive because containment was more important than the lives trapped inside. Once the survivors understand that, brute force becomes less useful than controlled movement, securing areas behind them, and understanding what the system is trying to prevent. Sometimes surviving the monster means understanding the environment that created it. Shaun of the Dead. And finally, Shaun of the Dead gives us perhaps the least sophisticated strategy on this list, but there's still something smart underneath it. Shaun gathers the people he cares about and heads toward the Winchester, a location he knows extremely well. Familiar territory gives him something valuable during chaos. He understands the entrances, exits, and layout. The plan definitely isn't perfect, and eventually the pub becomes dangerous too. But Shaun does something he wasn't capable of doing before the outbreak. He takes responsibility. And maybe that's the real connection between every survivor on this list. The smartest people in zombie movies aren't necessarily the strongest. They're the ones who notice when the rules have changed and change with them before everybody else does. So which one made the smartest decision? And more importantly, which decision would you actually have thought of before it was too late?